Welcome back to DG IELTS. Strong vocabulary in IELTS isn't about complicated words, it's about precision, flexibility, and knowing how to express your ideas without repetition. In this video, you'll hear a complete speaking interview with special attention to Lexical Resource, how vocabulary supports clarity and depth across different topics. This lesson connects to the broader DG IELTS learning path, where we focus on building skills step by step rather than relying on memorization. Listen carefully to how words are chosen naturally without forcing complexity. Let's start off by asking, do you enjoy reading?
Yes, I do. Although I wouldn't say I'm particularly consistent with it. There are periods when I read regularly, especially if I find a topic that really interests me. Most of the time, I choose nonfiction because I like gaining practical insights that I can actually apply in real life. I find that kind of reading more engaging.
What kind of books do you prefer?
I tend to gravitate towards books related to psychology or personal development. I'm quite interested in understanding how people think and how habits are formed. Occasionally, I do read fiction, but usually when I want something a little lighter and less analytical, it really depends on my mood.
Do you prefer printed books or digital ones?
I'd probably say printed books, mainly because they help me focus better. When I'm reading physical books, I'm less likely to get distracted by notifications. That said, digital books are definitely more practical when I'm traveling or if I'm short on space. So I use them both, but for different reasons.
How often do you use technology?
Um, Honestly, almost constantly. My work relies heavily on digital tools, so I'm connected for most of the day. Even outside of work, I use technology for learning, communicating, and entertainment. It's become such a normal part of my daily routine that I rarely even think about it.
Do you think technology has changed communication?
Yes, significantly. Communication has become faster and more global, which is a huge advantage. However, sometimes I feel that it has reduced the depth of face to face interactions. It's efficient, but not always as personal.
Do you spend much time on social media?
I wouldn't say a huge amount, but I do check it daily. Mostly it's just to stay informed and keep in touch with people. I do try to be mindful of how much time I spent on it because it can become a distraction.
Has technology improved learning?
In many ways, yes. Online platforms make information more accessible than before. You can learn at your own pace, which I think is a huge advantage. At the same time, it requires discipline to stay focused.
Do you think people depend too much on technology?
In some cases, yes, definitely. It's deeply integrated into everyone's daily life, which makes total independence unrealistic. However, I think balance is key. Technology should support us, not control our routines. I'd like to talk about going for long walks, which is an activity I've gradually come to value much more over the past few years. I usually go for a walk several times a week, most often in the evenings after my workday is over. I first started doing this almost unintentionally, mainly as a way to clear my head after a long and demanding day at work. At the time, it felt more like a short break than a habit, but over time, it naturally became part of my routine, and it's something that I genuinely look forward to. What I particularly enjoy about walking is the sense of mental space it creates. I don't need any equipment, preparation, or planning, which makes it very easy to fit into my schedule. I can also adjust the pace depending on how I feel. On some days, I walk quite briskly to release tension and burn off stress, while on other days, I slow down deliberately, take my time, and simply observe my surroundings. Another reason this activity has become more important to me is that it allows me to step away from screens and constant notifications. During these walks, I often reflect on the day, I organize my thoughts and process situations more calmly. I find that ideas become clearer and small problems that once felt overwhelming start to seem more manageable. Overall, although it's a very simple activity, going for long walks helps me maintain balance in my daily life. It allows me to recharge mentally and feel more grounded and return to my responsibilities with a clearer and more focused mindset.
Why are hobbies important for adults?
Hobbies provide a necessary balance between responsibility and personal enjoyment. For adults who face work related pressure, leisure activities can create an opportunity to recharge mentally. They also allow individuals to explore interests outside of their professional identity. In the long run, I think hobbies can improve overall well being and even productivity. So they serve both emotional and practical purposes, in my opinion.
Do you think modern lifestyles leave enough time for hobbies?
In many cases, no. Busy work schedules and constant digital distractions reduce the amount of uninterrupted free time people have. Even when individuals are technically free, they may still be mentally occupied. As a result, hobbies often become irregular rather than consistent. This shift reflects how modern routines prioritize efficiency over balance.
How do hobbies differ between generations?
Younger generations often prefer technology based activities, I would say, such as gaming or content creation. Older generations, however, may lean more towards traditional or social hobbies like gardening or community events. However, these differences are gradually narrowing. Technology has influenced all age groups to some extent. So the gap between generations is less rigid than it once was.
Can hobbies influence a person's career?
Yes, they certainly can. In some cases, hobbies develop skills that later become professionally valuable. For example, creative hobbies may be strengthening problem solving or communication abilities. Additionally, hobbies can sometimes evolve into full time careers if pursued seriously. So the boundary between leisure and profession is not always fixed.
Should governments support leisure activities?
I think they should, at least to some extent. Investing in public spaces and community programs encourages healthier lifestyles. Accessible leisure opportunities can reduce stress levels across society. However, individuals still need to take responsibility for how they use their time. Government support can create opportunities, but personal choice remains essential.
What stands out here is how natural the vocabulary sounds. Nothing feels forced or overcomplicated, and that's exactly what Band 9 Lexical Resource looks like. The speaker isn't trying to impress with rare words, but instead chooses expressions that fit the situation perfectly. You'll notice a lot of natural collocations being used, such as clear my head, part of my routine, look forward to, release tension, burn off stress, step away from screens, organize my thoughts, and recharge mentally. These are combinations of words that native speakers naturally use together, which is why they sound so smooth and effortless. Another strong point is paraphrasing. Instead of repeating the same words, similar ideas are expressed in different ways, like unwind, switch off, feel more grounded, and maintain balance. This shows control over meaning rather than memorization. Just as important is what is avoided. There's no overuse of idioms, no awkward word choices, and no vocabulary that's only there to sound advanced. Everything has a clear purpose, and accuracy is never sacrificed for complexity. This kind of vocabulary control is exactly what examiners are listening for at Band 9: precise, flexible, and natural language that supports communication rather than distracting from it. If you want to keep seeing Band 9 speaking samples explained this way, make sure you're following the DG IELTS channel. The goal here is to help you understand how high scores actually work, not just copy answers.